Hey team, welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with Abzan Maverick. This is a build I've been working on for a little while. A few changes. I've taken out a swords from the main deck for space for prismatic ending. So just playing a 3-3 split. Hey Jar, welcome. Because I really like the flexibility of prismatic ending. Prismatic ending hitting a bunch more things right now than swords to plowshares. And a lot of the Delver decks having a pretty hard time against Maverick, which is kind of nice. I feel like, especially with Endurance in the deck, it's been a really nice surprise of how well the deck can, attack Delver strategy, which is really cool. The sideboard is filled with a pretty big bunch of combo hate, or at least mid-range hate as well. There's things like Thoughtseize, Chokes, Force of Vigor is especially good right now, especially with a lot of people trying out Urza's Saga. I did want to have the extra swords in the sideboard, but I feel like Plague Engineer is just a little bit better for the decks where I want to be attacking creature strategies. The only thing that applies for Swords to Plowshares where Plague Engineer doesn't is obviously X2 creatures and up, but some of the main things are Murktide, Tyrant, Murktide, the new dragon in Blue-Red Delver. Plague obviously also just a little bit slower, so things like Delver you do want to have some sort of removal in the first couple of turns. But yeah, I do want to try out the split. And I couldn't remove a creature or a tutor effect for the removal spell, so I removed the swords. And hopefully it works out okay. I've also moved Gaddock Teeg to the sideboard, which is pretty tough because there's a lot of hits for Teeg right now, especially out of Bant that are playing things like Engineered Explosives, Prismatic Ending themselves, Jace, Supreme Verdict in the 75. I don't think any are playing Terminus these days. Most are playing just Engineered Explosives, but it's pretty interesting to see how decks don't really have too much of a strategy against Teeg once those cards are turned off. It's really just Swords to Plowshares and sometimes Bounce with Teferi, but that's where Mum is really good. I was going to cut Mum down to 2, but I think Mum's really solid right now. A lot of decks are having trouble with dealing with hate bears, so having sort of Mum to protect things like Teeg or Oof is really good. So I did want to keep her in. And also there's a fair bit of just fair decks around, so that's always a good one to have. Panda, a huge thank you for the 12-month sub. That's very, very cool. I hope you're doing well. We'll have to do something special for that, so definitely give me a holler in chat and we can work something out. But a huge thank you. That's really nice. Not too much else to say. Let's get into a league and see how this goes. Maverick's been in a tough spot recently. I think that Green White Depths has been pulling a lot of players away from it because it's just really well positioned right now. Depths, that is. But yeah, keen to see how it goes. Nice. Too kind. Too kind. I've seen some, in the Maverick Discord, there's some other lists that look really cool, especially against other archetypes of Maverick. So I know that Strassteady, also known as Mark Strassman, has been playing around with Ragavan Maverick, which is very cool. So playing a punishing or 4-color build with Ragavan, which is pretty sweet, which I really like. Even if it's not going to be, even if it doesn't work out, I really like that Mark took the time and effort to put testing into that and see how it goes. But yeah, pretty cool to see. I think Bant would be cool to come back to and have a look at. Bant has some cards like Uro, Teferi, Meddling Mage, which are pretty cool. Hey Nathan, welcome. But yeah, tough time. I feel like Teferi right now is pretty well positioned, especially a turn 2 Teferi, so that could be pretty cool. And obviously, being able to instant speed some of your things like Prismatic Ending is pretty sweet. Alright, on the play against Squid. And I don't mind this hand. Turn 1 Mum into turn 2 Fetch to play around Wasteland, and then also hold up Swords, and then turn 3 Knight is pretty solid. It is 4 lands, but I think that's okay. There is a world where I could play out the Savannah first up, so that if I do get Wastelanded, the Knight comes down as a 4/4, which is pretty relevant against Delver decks, but if the Mum survives, then that isn't too much of a consideration, so I think Plains into Mum is fine. Also might just show my opponent more on something like Death and Taxes. Swamp Fatal Push. Okay. Hierarch's pretty nice here. I'm not going to use the fetch yet. There is a world where I just want to keep the fetch for something like Sylvan Library. Or even Dried Arbor down the line. Especially if this is a black deck, they might have some sort of sack effects. But this is looking more like ninjas. But obviously early on, a little bit hard to tell. I've also seen Chain of Smog decks playing things like Fatal Push and Ponder, so you never know. Changeling, okay. There we go. So this is an interesting spot. And funnily enough, the latest piece of content on the Green Sun Zenith is a matchup analysis against ninjas. So a lot on the line here. But this is actually a situation where I'm pretty happy to respect days and play around days. Prismatic Ending is also fantastic here because it deals with a bunch of different things, including Retrofit a Foundry, which is pretty sweet. So let's start off with swords. And then I'm pretty happy just to try to jam this knight. There is a world where I just go after the threats, and that's where my lack is, my lack of experience in the matchup is lying. Because I feel like as a player, interestingly put in Eureka. We have, interesting. Because we have Caracas off knight here, Eureka isn't that bad, so that's going to be interesting. Yeah, I think my issue as a player against the Ninjas matchup is that I shift too much between dealing with the enablers in things like Ornithopter and Changing Outcast and dealing with the actual threats in Eureka and the 4-drop that always is an issue. I guess the bad thing here is if I draw Caracas, that would suck because I do want Caracas for the knight, but thankfully we don't, so that's pretty nice. I have a few options here. I can actually use the Swords to Plowshares, or I can just hold up Caracas. I don't mind holding up Caracas. The only reason to actually use my removal here is that then I can swing in with the knight, but I think you're just holding up Caracas is okay, and maybe getting in next turn. Prismatic Hitting Foundry is really nice. Definitely the biggest. I guess by holding back the knight as well, they also can't really attack unless they have some sort of removal spell. The only downside here is that knight turns on Fatal Push, but I think that's okay. I don't need to go for Caracas straight away because we do have 2 pieces of removal, which is really nice. And they don't have it, so that's pretty good. Another knight, interesting. Another knight makes me want to Swords the Ornithopter first to see what happens. But there is also a world where we just hold up Swords to Plowshares. So if we play the knight here and hold up swords, we don't play around days if we also want to go for knight Caracas. But I think if we have 2 knights down, they're not going to attack with the Eureka anyway, so I think we can hold up swords with Daze Protection here anyway, which is pretty nice. And then we get to a pretty close stage of just having lethal on the swing back. So I think playing it safe is okay. Brainstorm is going to be fine. There's a world where even if they attack and the swords doesn't resolve, we get to a pretty nice position of just being able to swing back for near lethal, because the fetch make these a 6/6, we then sack a land, 7/7, we have Caracas. Alright, so in comes the Ornithopter. No blocks. Here's Infiltrator. I'm just going to sack this now. Go and get a forest. Get Caracas. And I think here I'm actually happy to let the Infiltrator resolve, return the Eureka, and then just swing for 14 next turn. Hey, King. But there is a world where I do want to deal with this now. We know that Ornithopter's in hand. If they have Blue Sword Force, then that's fine. Blue Sword Force. And it's a Borrower. Okay. Well, that's going to be fine. Fatal Push is pretty strong. So they have 2 Ornithopters. Sure. Green Suns. Hey King, thanks for the follow. They do have Fatal Push. So we know 1 card left is Fatal Push. Maverick is a deck you can build without jewels. You should look at this Building Maverick on a Budget article by Jordan Munson. That's pretty good for that. I think I just want to hold back Double Knight. I guess we could Green Suns for Scrib Ranger, which is pretty sweet here. I think that's actually best to start with, because then we can attack with a Knight. Hex Drink is also pretty interesting, but I think Scrib here is just better. Attack with both, and then we get to return both. If they don't block here and go down to 5, then Green Suns for Questing Beast is a live draw, which is kind of cool. They're going to block 1. Okay. So now let's untap 1, return Savannah, play Savannah. I probably don't mind dealing with the Ornithopter right now to turn off Fatal Push on their turn. And now in upkeep, we can untap this one, returning this. Now they have 1 Fatal Push. They have the fetch for it. But we currently have Caracas for the Eureka and the other Knight to block the Infiltrator, so we're in a pretty good spot. Now the question is, do I want to do anything here? I probably don't mind turning the Bayou into a fetch land. I am happy just returning Yuriko. Oh, Beast? Oh. Nice. Okay. Fetch. Savannah. 1, 2. Untap this, return this. 3, play a land 4. Questing Beast. There we go. Attack with everything. They have to block the knight here, which is a pretty fantastic position. Nice. We've already used a scrib, so we could just, yeah, it's gonna be a tough spot. I don't think my opponent has an out. Yuriko isn't a great blocker because of the Caracas. Even a Plague Engineer on human here doesn't do it because the Beast... I guess, yeah, if they did play Plague in the main deck, perhaps that's a way out, but otherwise it's pretty tough. Alright, I'm gonna actually go to this and have a look at what Lyle said for the matchup. At least for sideboarding. Alright, so we're looking at Plague Engineer, Fatal Push, and Thoughtseize, minus Counter Magic and maybe Yuriko because of things like Caracas. And then also Abzan Maverick, we're looking at Back to Basics, which can be pretty tough. Yuriko, Changeling, Daze, Force. And that's fair enough, mainly due to Plague Engineer being a huge loss, that I'm pretty happy to work with that. So, we're mainly looking at these 3. It's tough because everything kind of has its place. I think I can take out the Oof, even though they have Foundry, just because we have the Prismatic Endings and the Night of Autumn. I'd rather have these flexible cards instead of just the one sort of silver bullet just for Foundry. I don't mind going down on a Thalia, especially on the draw, and especially against a deck that's bringing in Plague Engineer. Endurance is still really good. I think the other Endurances are pretty solid. And it might even be a case of going down on Knights, at least to some level. I think that Ramanap can definitely come out because Ninjas plays up to 7 basics, so the Wasteland lock isn't that appealing. Skoos is also interesting. Skoos is kind of just there as a mid-range creature that could be a blocker, but they don't really have any graveyard interaction. The life gain can be a little bit relevant, but it might just be something like this. Hey, Eli. A huge thank you for the raid. I hope you're doing well. What did you just... obviously you just played Goblins, but how did you go, and what did you play against? And hey everyone from Eli's stream. I hope you're all doing well. Choke's definitely interesting as well, but we're currently up a game against Ninjas in game 1 of our league, which is always a tough one. We actually did a piece the other day just about the Ninjas matchup, so I'm just having a look at what we're really looking at. I think I just want to go with the Endurances and the Plagues for now. Everything else is semi-relevant. And if we see anything special, we can adapt in our game 3, if there is a game 3. Ooh, bit of a yikes hand. Especially if they do have Plague Engineer, the Mum and the Thalia dying to a Cradle start is pretty brutal. Hey Delirium, welcome. We played some Food Chain Gobbos and Honors 3-2, beat Blue Decks and Cloud Post, lost to another Cloud Post in Green White Depths, missed Wasteland. Yeah, that's fair enough. I do like Food Chain Gobbos. It can kind of just get out of the gates from nowhere. I remember we played against it on Depths, and we let them pass with like a creature, and they played Food Chain and just went off. Especially with Fury. Fury's a pretty sweet addition to the deck. I am going to mulligan this. It's just a little bit too reliant on the creatures relying and the Cradle being effective. This is a hand I'm happy to keep. I'm probably just going to go the 2 lands and keep the 2 fetches. Actually, because of Back to Basics, I might actually keep the Forest. That way we can go Forest into Plains and then also have black for through the Verdant if we need it. Hey Raisins, hope you're well. Turn 1 main phase Brainstorm. Interesting. Perhaps looking for an Ornithopter. They didn't find it. Okay. That's going to be fine. So the big question here is, do I want to Green Sun Zenith straight away? And I think I do, because on the play, I think my opponent probably kept in some amount of days. So being able to play the Thalia or the Sylvan Library next turn around days is pretty nice. So we might keep the fetches for now. Play the Forest into Green Suns. The only downside of Forest into Green Suns for Zenith is that next turn we can't double spell white mana cards. So if we draw like a Mother of Runes, we can't go Mum and Thalia, or Swords to Plowshares, or Prismatic Ending. So I think we actually might just go ahead and get a Savannah and then go into Green Suns. At least these are both forests that under a back basics can be returned by Scrib Ranger, which is pretty sweet. Hey Eli, with Food Chain Goblins, are there any big reasons why you would play it over normal Goblins? If you had like a local metagame and you had both decks and you played Goblins, what would kind of make you go for Food Chain Goblins? I think because of the Foundry, I want to dig for a removal spell through Library, so I'm going to play the Library this turn. And then play the Noble. It's just Till's 2 spelling on turn 2, which is pretty sweet. But really need to find an answer for this Retrofitter Foundry pretty quickly. I feel like my opponent's going for back to basics here. I probably wouldn't mind if they tapped out for back to basics, honestly. Food Chain is really good against Delver and Dirtle control decks. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, Food Chain's just an interesting one, especially the actual Food Chain deck against a deck like Maverick with Swords to Plowshares. It makes it really awkward to remove creatures. You have to deal with the Food Chain first, which isn't always the easiest thing to do. We do have Green Suns, which helps for things like Qasali Pride Mage or Knight of Autumn, or the new Masked Vandal, which is pretty sweet. Another Foundry. Okay, this is probably a reason why I want to keep in the Oof. Which, although we did want to have in some flexibility with other cards, I think this is okay. There's Scrib. I think I'm just going to pay 4 here. Play a fetch so we get rid of that card. Okay, so we kind of get a free attack here, which is nice. Retrofitter Foundry is very cool. Seeing a lot more play now because of Urza Saga as just a nice way to keep the grind going against some of the other grindy decks in the format. Alright. Windswept for Plains. So now we can just play Thalia and then hold up Script Ranger. But yeah, I guess the double Foundry lines make Collector Oof more appealing. But the reason we took this out was that it was just a little bit more narrow than cards like Prismatic Ending or Knight of Autumn, things like that. Petty Theft this. Sure. But I guess one good way to fight Retrofitter Foundry is probably Questing Beast. Card Questing Beast? Nice. Nice. Okay. So with 4 mana, they can create a 1/1 servo token. They can then sack it to make a 1/1. So I probably just want to get an attack in here in the air. Because if I attack with Thalia, they can make a guy, block, and then sack it before damage. So at least this is getting in some damage. You generally thought it had first strike. A lot of people think it has things that it just doesn't have. I still think it has things that it doesn't have. Like, does it have trample? I am genuinely asking if it has trample. I believe it doesn't have trample. It just... Does it? No. Haste? Vigilance? Where is it? Vigilance, Death Touch, Haste. Okay, there we go. Alright. It doesn't have trample somehow. There we go. It hits Planeswalkers. That's kind of why I think it has it. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Why are they attacking with the servos? They can sack them, but I'm in a situation where I'm pretty happy just to see if I can block. I probably don't mind this trade if they are wanting to trade here. Just because we have all the mana in the world, we don't really need it, and I'd rather them not have it. Alright. Knight's a really nice draw. Endurance is also pretty solid, so let's go put on top, pay for this. 3, 6. Alright. I'm going to hit the Underground Sea right now. Just to see what they do with it? Nothing. Okay. Well then. Let's attack first. Little spots of damage. No blocks. Cool. They have 3 cards left. Play Knight. Okay. And now we can hold up Endurance. Sure. This is probably where I want to find something like a Plague Engineer. Just to probably name Servo and start doing some things. Alright, so let's go untap Noble, return Forest. Fetch. I will get a Bayou. I don't really care about back to basics at this point with Scrib in play. I'll hit their graveyard. I do like how this combos up with Fatal Push and gives you free ways to turn on Revolt. It's pretty sweet. Alright, we did fetch, so we get a free look at Sylvan Library, which is really nice. I probably just want a green suns here for questing beast. That seems pretty strong. Puts him in a bit of a tight spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then an extra 1 for noble. For Thalia. There's an oof in the sideboard, which I took out just because we had a pretty good plan to deal with Retrofitter as a 1 of, but not as a 2 of. Can they... I guess... Can they sack... so they have a servo. So they can 1 and sack, create a colorless Thopter, and then create 2... creatures here. Interesting. Maybe then I attack with both here. Because what they can do is, for 1 mana, create a 1/1 flyer, and then for 3 mana untap, and then create a 4/4 to have 2 4/4s. So I think this is going to be fine, because I can also untap the Knight to also save the Questing Beast, thanks to getting Caracas. So this should work out pretty well. I'd actually love him to double block the Knight, because then we can just do some Script Ranger shenanigans. Oh. Oh no. They must have Fatal Push. Oh, we already used... Oh, we've already used Script Ranger, that's why. Rough. That's why. Yeah, I should have thought about that 100%. Tough. Not the worst. We're still in a pretty good spot. Actually a little bit scared of them attacking there. That would be pretty good. Cradle. Swords is pretty nice. Alright. Attack for 5 and see how they block. They can sack this to the Retrofitter Foundry to create a 4/4. They're just going to take their full turn. They're going to do no blocks. Interesting. Didn't expect that. I will play a fetch land because we probably want to fetch those cards away from the top, so... No blocks is really interesting. Now we're in a position where we can nearly just go wide. Hey, Army of Thalia, welcome. There's a question of, do I want to get rid of the servo here? But they can just sack it straight away, so... Maybe if they try to create the flyer, then I'll go after it. They're just going to create another servo. Okay. This is fine. Happy to let this slide because we have the Swords to Plowshares. We can't block anyway, so... But I'd rather use the swords on the actual creature. Opponent having a think. Foundry is very hard to grind through. And I guess that's definitely a spot where I do really like the collect oof, if they do have the double. But seeing we're down on 5 minutes as well, I do have to win this game, so... Yeah, Foundry's pretty tough. Alright, definitely want to fetch. Come on, Plague. Swords isn't the worst. So they currently have servos, so they can create 1/1 flyers. They can create another 4/4. Ooh, they have Fatal Push? Rough. I meant to go for the same one. That's a rough spot. I think we're in a pretty tough spot that we have to just bring in the oof. Probably happy just going down to 1 library here and submitting the same list. I could see a Wasteland being taken out. Puts me down to 22 lands. Just to bring in something else, like even a choke, seeing they're going for basics early on. I wouldn't mind trying to have a little bit of a mana denial strategy against them, especially once they get retrofitted going. Force of Vigor is definitely interesting, but I do like oof because it also just attacks, so it is both disruption and pressure. So even if we draw the oof and they don't have a retrofitter online, it's still a 2/2 that's beating in, but the force can get stuck in hand, and sometimes it's yeah. Retrofit is definitely a staple for ninjas, so I wouldn't say that's a reason why they would be playing Saga, but I could definitely see it as a way to tutor it up. I'm happy to keep this. We don't have black mana, but hopefully that's okay. Plague most likely just naming Servo because of changing Outcast and also the Servo tokens. Alright. Opponent went to 5. Scrib Ranger also nice because it just blocks Ornithopter. Push is okay. That's pretty nice. Another push, wow. Oof is pretty sweet. I kind of like holding up Scrib Ranger just in case of back to basics here. Then at least we can use the Savannah twice. I'm going to play the Oof first and then draw with Cradle. In case we draw a Noble Hierarch, I can then attack for 2. Or a Birds of Paradise, because then we can actually cast it and then we have black mana for Plague. Okay. It's not too bad of a draw. That's also a source of black mana over time, which is nice. I am going to return the Savannah here, just in case of back to basics. That card really scares me, even though it's probably only a 1 of, maybe a 2 of out of the board. It's a pretty good way to attack us. And there we go. Yeah, the Soul Read. Sometimes it happens. But now we get access to both basics if we really need them, which is nice. A basic here is actually a perfect draw, because now I get to go for a black source and a basic through my my lands here. So we can get plains, and then we can go for Bayou and tap out for Plague Engineer. And name Servo. Which also stops Changeling Outcast. Ponder, hopefully a shuffle. Because Brazen Borrower here on Plague would be really annoying. Chose to not shuffle. Oh, Sylvan Library is a really nice draw, because with 2 mana off basics we can cast it. But I do have to watch time. They're going to force it pitching Force. Okay. Now they could just hardcast Infiltrator. Another Plague. Okay. I kind of want to draw a land here so I don't have to play the Caracas and tap it straight away for night. I'd rather hold up the Caracas. That is a black source though, which I still think is okay. They're down to 0 cards, so... Strix is going to be annoying. Forest. Okay. I guess we play the Caracas. And then probably just turn some of these jewels into fetch lands. Hex. Oof. That's a good one. Okay. That's a way to win the game. I guess I should have actually used Knight there just to get another land. Ooh. Nice. See what the Ponder does. I'm not sure what they can have for this once instants are gone, because that turns off Murderous Cut, Fatal Push, Brazen Burrow or Bounce. I'm not sure if they have an out to the Hex Drinker. They chose to not shuffle, so they obviously have something. Or they drew the top card and then shuffled. Okay, now they're digging. Okay, this is what we want to see. Oof. Two cards in hand. They attack with the Strix, that's fine. I guess they could Eureka here. Okay. What do they flip? Prismatic Vista. That's okay. So they didn't set it up. I guess they can recast the Strix here. Okay. What if we draw a removal spell here? Ornithopter, sure. Oh, Endurance. 1, 2, 3. Only a 6/6, yeah. Only a 6/6. Ponder is a shuffle. Brainstorm. Nice. What a grind. Very cool game. Haha. Nice. I gotta go to the bathroom real quick, but I'll be back for the next one. Stay tuned. Nice. Hey, Ian R. Welcome. Very glad to see you in chat. Yeah, sometimes Progenitus is just enough, which is pretty nice. Pretty lucky. Hey, MTG Frecken, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. This hand's okay. Turn 1 Mum into Library into Grist. We also have Dried Arbor to get wrong, so... Wrong overlay. Too kind. There we go. Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this. Not too bad. Grist has been really interesting. I think Grist is better in a Stoneforge Mystic build, so you can make the 1/1s bigger threats with equipment, but it's been pretty sweet otherwise. It's kind of nice because if we're up against like Eldrazi, then turning Mother of Runes into removal spells for some of their big creatures is pretty awesome, because otherwise Mum doesn't really have a role in the matchup. Or something like Gaddock Teeg against Death and Taxes, or Collector Oof against Elves. I do like that. It's a pretty cool aspect of it. Also, giving reach to hit Planeswalkers is pretty huge. S%. Okay. Alright, well... I guess we're playing out Mum. Oh, of course it's non-creature. Ah, classic! Grist is a creature, so that's pretty awesome. I think next turn I might just go Dried Arbor Mum into turn 3 Grist. But digging for Green Suns or Collector Oof is also pretty interesting. I think if they attack here, I'm pretty happy to trade and then play Sylvan Library the following turn, if possible. That's if we get another turn. Cool. This is going to get a little bit annoying, so the trade I'd be more than happy for. No trade. Okay. Hey, Expert. Thank you very much for the sub. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play Legacy? Alright. Opponent's on a pretty slow draw. I don't mind going for Sylvan Library here because land into Green Suns would just be huge. From USA but work third, so watch a lot of Oz streamers. Nice. Play Stoneblade decks in Legacy typically. Nice. Stoneblade's very cool. Big fan of Stoneblade. Especially just like the old school blue-white sort of control Stoneblade decks. They were really nice. Nice and clean from a decklist perspective, which is always cool to see. Opponent has 6 cards in hand. Ancient Tomb's a pretty good start. Nettle Cyst. I've heard of this card, I haven't played against it yet. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact or enchantment you control. Okay. That's pretty good, especially on this Thought Monitor. If they want to equip it, they will have to use the Lotus Petal here if they do. They don't. Okay. Alright. There's the land. Do we find the green suns? Oh, we do! The question is, can we? I think we can take it here. Pay for life, go to 12. And then we can shore up some things the following turn by playing Grist. I can't use the Dried Arbor here for mana, so I have to go for Green Suns here. But that's exactly why we wanted to play the Sylvan Library there. They will draw a card. But that's going to be fine. Collect Oof. Oof. Probably don't want a 6 just in case they have some sort of main deck removal. Yeah, this card's insane. Hey Killy B, if you type Decklist, you'll be able to find it. Instead of just the deck. The deck stats one is old, and I have to update it. I don't know why it's still showing up, so I apologize for that user experience. It's terrible. Collect Oof with protection, really nice here. Opponent down to just the Ancient Tomb for mana. Serpent's gonna be fine. What does this have? Okay, we can block, right? And then get pro black. Beast. Put on top. Put on top. I think here all I want to do is Grist, trade the Dried Arbor for the Thought Monitor. Could also play out multiple creatures this turn as well, including Mother Runes. I don't mind that. We still have a lot of time, which is nice. We also get to take them off their Ancient Tomb. Yeah, Wasteland Tomb is pretty rough for them. Unless they have another Soul Land, but even then, keeping them off something like Karn is pretty good. Saga is going to be interesting. That's okay, we have to collect Oof for that. I do get to kill... I think I'm happy to throw a Mum away here. So, Mum and Oof. Hey DN Solver. Hope you're well. Oh, no! No! It's colorless! No! Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh no. No! Oh no. Huge punt. I meant to put it in front of the germ and put the Mum in front of the... Yeah. Yep. I get it. These things happen. Oh no. Oh gosh. Oh no. Oh no, my mistake. Oh. No. Sure. Yep, shame concede. Oh, we had it. Oh my gosh. Just a little Yeah. It's all good. Let's see how this goes. I think we want to take out the Thalias and the Scavenging Ooze. We definitely like the Force of Vigors. I don't mind the Plagues. Plagues are definitely interesting. Endurances are also pretty interesting. Sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. That was just a terrible, terrible performance. I think Plagues are pretty good. Especially seeing Retrofitted Foundry, I do want to have some sort of answer to that outside of just Collector Oof, so I think something like this is okay. Yeah. So sorry. Yeah, Plague seems cool. Tough. Because we're in a great position. I mean, next time we get to play the Grist, we have all the mums online. Yeah, shake it off for game 2. Definitely just have to laugh it off. That's magic sometimes. That is magic sometimes. And my coffee's cold, even worse. Would love to play first. And I think looking back, this hand might just be a little bit too fair. Definitely interesting, but I might mulligan to 6 just to try to get like a... This is actually pretty good. I think I'm going to keep this and bottom the Hierarch. Bottom the... Probably actually bottom the Hierarch here because Bird has access to black mana. Hey, Solver. Alright. Opponent kept 7. Yeah, Bird can produce black and also block Thought Monitor if Mum shows up. Very correct. Nice. Yeah, we even had Script Ranger. Or at least we have Script Ranger in the deck. We do have Wasteland Ramanap for Ancient Dens, which is kind of nice. Oh, that's actually really good for Night of Autumn. Does Welding Jar also help Den? I feel like it does. Okay. I'm probably okay to force the Welding Jar here. Opponent might be thinking, does this work? And doesn't know if they want to throw it away or not. I believe it would. If something gets destroyed, you can then regen it? Maybe not. They let it slide, okay. Pass. Of course it works, okay. Thank you, chat. Okay. Well, there's our black mana. Of course, regenerate taps. So, I guess it doesn't really matter because the land was tapped anyway. Ah, that's true. That's true. If it does work, then they get to untap. Yeah, that's very true. I like that. I like that play a lot. I think you were just casting Ramanap. Off Scrub. I could Wasteland though. Maybe actually I'm just gonna wasteland, buy some time. Taking them off 2 mana there is pretty huge. I could just draw into Collector Oof as well. Seat, sure. This is pretty huge. Oof. Yikes. They can also make a Foundry here, right? Oh, they don't want to. Okay. Beast. Okay, Beast is actually quite nice. Let's just play Night of Autumn and make them use the Welding Jar. Then we have the Knight to block. Sure. Yikes. Alright, now we really need something like Force of Vigor off the top. What's the equip? 2? Oh god. Oh god, we're just dead. If they block, we're just dead. Nuts. Shouldn't have attacked. Well, we can update the score. Rough. I thought the equip was a bit more, but that's pretty tough. Tough. Definitely a slow hand. The Welding Jar was huge. The Welding Jar definitely changed how good the hand was. To be fair, looking back, I should have checked to see how much the the cost was. This is a pretty good hand. I'll keep this. So I don't want to forest into Dried Arbor because then I can't Ending and Thalia next turn. So I think here I want to go for Savannah, which takes me off black if I draw into something, but main deck we only have Grist as a black card, so pretty happy to go Savannah into Green Suns. And then draw... Yeah, then we have the Caracas as a second white. So pretty good. Tab. Pretty happy just to do that now to play around crop rotation. Map's fine. It's a really nice draw because now we have one for a Pith Needle down the line as well. Alright, there's one post. Cracks is a really nice draw for them. Really slows down our attacks. Okay. Probably just want to try to find Ramanap here, or a Green Sun Zenith for Ramanap to get Wasteland online. Natural Rexage is pretty good as well. Yikes. Play the fetch. Pretty happy to trade here, to be honest. We have the Prismatic Ending, but I want to save that for something else. It's okay. Could see a crop here. We'll draw a Brainstorm. Would be nice. Definitely a downside to not playing a Brainstorm deck. Kind of stuck with your cards. 3/6. Nice. Cloud Post. I like the Forces. I don't mind the Thoughtseizers and the Teeg. Thalias and Mums can most likely come out. But just having another quick look. I think that's really it. I don't believe 12 Post decks play Golos. Most just play Emrakul, Ulamog, Kozilek, and then some sort of Green Suns package, usually 3 Primetimes, Rexage, maybe Ramanap. Might just keep one. They don't usually play Loam. Some play Ramanap instead as a way to use the graveyard. Choke? I think we'll keep Choke out for now. I don't mind this. Although it's a one-lander, it does have the Sylvan Library. And it has some really nice removal for things like Pith Needle. Obviously, turn on tab again would be the worst thing. Oh. Don't say it. Don't say it. I guess we should tap the Savannah in case we don't draw a land here. We can then attack. Or... Beats. I should actually use the swords here, because I want to have an out to I should have also done it in upkeep to play around tab. Yeah, I should have definitely done it in upkeep to tap them off the forest. Definitely little things that add up. Green Suns for 1. Yeah. That's not fun. I don't wanna do any more of that. Yikes. I mean, it's definitely the downside of keeping a one-lander is that if they draw the one tab, then that's always gonna be tough. Rough. But Cloudco is definitely a tough matchup, even though we do have things like Wasteland and Night. The 4 Pity Needles main, the ability for them just to really grind out some fast, quick mana is pretty tough. And once they have big creatures on board, a lot of them have done the damage already. Even if you have like a Swords for a prime time, the 2 lands they get is usually what wins in the game, not the prime time itself. So, really need a strong start, and maybe there was a mulligan decision there, but I felt like if we could bounce away from just the turn 1 tab and the chance of them having the 1 tab, that getting the Sylvan Library down would have been enough. But even there, we saw the top 3 were 3 non-lands, so pretty tough. Okay, I'll keep this. Any sort of standstill deck is always going to be pretty tough for Maverick, so them having Sagas as well makes it incredibly tough. Because we don't have too many things to interact with other than Wasteland, and maybe get down like an early creature of some kind. Leyline into Cloudpost, game 1. Well, I'm pretty happy to Wasteland this. Leyline into Cloudpost. Interesting. This is the 1-2 bracket. This is game 1 real cheap. To be fair, if Dr. Nick from The Simpsons was going to play a deck in Legacy, then main deck Leyline into Cloudpost does seem like a Dr. Nick kind of deck. So very on brand. I know that Arkan played against a Leyline deck the other day that was playing the new card that I believe is like 2 red and X, and you can just mill yourself into a creature, perhaps? Alright, let's ramp. This also allows us to trade Grist with a creature next turn if we really want to. We can trade the Dryad Arbor. Not too sure what to think of this deck. At least Vesuvius copying... I guess it could copy a green source here. But if it copies a Glimmer Post, at least it's not copying a Cloud Post. Savannah, okay. Knight's probably just the best draw here. If we draw that, we're playing it. But otherwise, Grist is probably okay. Green Suns. I actually just like Library. Grist isn't having too much of an impact here. And I do want to dig for some sort of actual threat instead of just 1/1s. Another Reliquary would be great. Next turn, we can even Green Suns for it, or Ramanap, which is pretty cool, so definitely have some options. Stirrings. Cool. Crucible. Okay. Then maybe, if they don't get Crucible down this turn, we want to Green Suns for Scavenging Ooze to get that Cloud Post. Yikes. Put on top. I will just pay for this. So if they have another land next turn, which I assume they do, they get down the Crucible, that kind of turns off Ramanap and Knight as effective creatures. I don't mind just seeing anything for Ooze first. They missed a land drop, so that actually makes me think they have to draw into one to play the Crucible. Interesting deck. Main deck Leyline. I'm not too sure. Okay, chat. What is main deck Leyline for, other than just having hexproof? How could it interact with any cards in your deck? Gotta be something. Grim's pretty good. Mono white enchantment deck. Yeah, I've definitely seen ley lines in a Enchantress build. Crucible's fine. Yeah, I have seen leyline out of the board in old school one. Don't lose to burn. Yeah, maybe it's a burn thing. Nice, okay. Pay for this, put the land on top. I kind of want to go after... I think Knight here is just best. Knight and then draw a card randomly. Not too scared of the Grim Monolith at the moment. I could Wasteland first, but they have the Crucible, so I want to get to a stage where maybe Green Suns for Knight of Autumn and then start going after their mana is profitable. I was also meant to use a fetch land there instead of play the... Did I play the Forest? To get that land off the top of my deck? I played the Canopy, yeah. Of course I did. Alright. So Grim, I believe, is 4 to untap, yeah. Okay. So Wasteland not the worst here. Not really doing anything for us, which is great. Sure. Really don't want to lose to burn. Float a mana, gain a life, and then pass. Okay. Land on top. Yeah, the game on life was interesting. Not too sure what was happening there. But at least this turn we get to double Wasteland. I guess we get to Wasteland once. We can... I think Green Sun's for Night of Autumn to hit the Crucible is better than Ramanap. Hey Star Fox. I hope you're doing well as well. Opponent having a real good think. Night. Alright. Put on top, put on top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe there's a world where I could Zenith? No. Start with this. I think taking them off the green here is pretty special. Two, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, 12, 16. Yeah, not too bad of a turn. The other thought was going for Collector Oof, but I think that the Wasteland there is better. And taking them off the Crucible as well. Because Crucible's most likely just a one-of. And the Grid Monolith right now not being exploited is nothing I really care about. And the Prismatic Talisman just tapping for 1 I don't really care about either, so... Carador, that's a great line, yeah. Green Suns for Ramanap double Wasteland by fetching one with Night, and then playing one from the bin, and then eating the lands with Ooze. That's a nice one. Nice play. I probably like that more, because then just in case my opponent has a really significant artifact or enchantment that they play, then we also have Night of Autumn for that. We had 2 mana left. 4. I think we would have had 1 left over, but... So I was trying to think of a line where we could get Cradle for the Night to get... See, like, Bridge is a pretty good card that I want to deal with. But if I can take my opponent off mana here and stop them from being able to cast anything, then Ensnaring Bridge is going to be a lot worse. I'm going to fetch here and get some... Just draw some cards. Wasteland. Okay, that's pretty good. Can we find another Green Suns? Hey, Expert and Fault, thanks for the follows. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy, where you play Legacy. How you doing? How your weekend's going? How can I help? Ooh, ending is sweet. And just what the doctor ordered. Put on top, put on top. I'd probably rather just play the second night here than use the ending. 1, 2, 3, 4 mana, 5 mana. I can't get down Grist this turn as well, which is pretty sweet. So what if we go... Grist. Knight. Black. White. Black. Grist. Tick up. What do we mill? Windsoft Heath, sweet. Creatures are even bigger. There's not too much I'm afraid of, because I'm not too scared of something like All Is Dust or Ulamog because they're so far away from that from a mana perspective. And these Glimmer Posts aren't doing too much because Cloud Post has to come in tapped. So they can't really abuse that. And they don't currently have green mana, so it's not like they can instant speed end step, get a Cloud Post into play, untap, and then generate a bunch of mana. So I think just creating lethal threats and then Prismatic ending this Ensnaring Bridge next turn is going to be enough. I also feel like my opponent's having maybe connectivity issues because they are taking a fair while to just kind of move through the turns. So hopefully they can fix that. Yeah, Mav has some pretty sweet lines. The deck has a fair amount of play to it, which is really nice. But opponent here most likely just wanting to dump their hand and get under this bridge, which is kind of good for us because it means that if they dump their hand and then we untap, we don't really have to care about anything once we Prismatic ending this Ensnaring Bridge. Three mana. Untap Grim. Oh, 4 mana, untap Grim. Okay. Interesting. So they net -1. Okay. Interesting. I guess they could have like Warping Whale. Warping Whale counter the Prismatic ending. So if I can find a Green Suns here. No. Well, I'm definitely going to go for it. Green, black, white. Okay. Nice. Okay. We definitely want the Force of Vigors, the Gaddock Teeg. Mums can most likely come out. And I don't mind slimming on Thalias for Thought Seizers, just to see more of the deck. Pretty happy with this. Teeg mainly for things like Planeswalkers, any sort of big effects like All Is Dust. Force of Vigor obviously really strong. Thoughtseize really strong. Hope everyone's well. Hope everyone is having a nice weekend. It's finally sunny here, which is pretty sweet. It's been a few days of lockdown in my local town with rain, which makes it kind of double depressing. So it's nice to have you all here for some Sunday morning legacy. The best kind of legacy. If you're in an awkward time, you can always find me here on YouTube, which is cool. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Sorry. Apologies. This hand's fine. Pretty happy to keep this. Turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Scrib, turn 3 Knight. I guess Thoughtseize a little bit rough if they are keeping in the ley lines. I didn't take that into consideration, but otherwise, I think we'll be okay. Did they one-up me? Did they keep in Leyline thinking I would bring in Thoughtseize? Opponent mulligan to 6 cards and is now thinking about their 6. Alright. Mulling for that early line. I think, yeah, Cloud Post Go is probably just the best start they can have. So that makes sense. Probably still just going for Scrubland Thoughtseize here. But a turn 1, like, Noble Hierarch would be pretty interesting here, because it turns on a lot more lines. It's 11 at night here on Saturday. Interesting. Alright, what'd you keep your hand for? Oh, okay. Alright. So we do have Green Sun's Fatigue to stop the Karn from being cast, and the Gilded Lotus, but they have Caracas, which does deal with Teeg, which is interesting. I think I'm actually happy just to take the Karn, and then Green Suns for Collector Oof down the line. But taking them off the Grim Monolith here is pretty interesting, in case they draw into something really good. I think it is just Karn, and leave them with mana, and hope that we get enough time to actually get to Collector Oof. But it's a tough one, because I could see people taking the Grim Monolith, just to slow down the hand a bit. I kind of hope my opponent takes the turn to Wasteland me. Because then there's a situation where we can untap play Savannah and pass back. And if they try to Wasteland the Savannah, we can flash in Script Ranger and save it. Which also is a bingo target, I believe. So that would be perfect. They play for Suva. Interesting, they drew that to play Cloudpost. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. Oh, so now they can also play the Grim Monolith. That's pretty good. I think the only reason I don't play the Script Ranger here and hold up is if I draw something like this, which allows me to get ahead of Wasteland, because if they Wasteland me next turn, then I'm still behind getting, like if I go Savannah Pass and they Wasteland me, I then return hopefully the Savannah that they target to my hand, and then the following turn I still just have the same amount of mana, so I might as well Green Suns here for a Noble Hierarch. This also puts me in line of drawing Wasteland and being able to Wasteland and Collector Oof in the same turn, which is pretty huge. Do you think this deck would be better with Deathrite Shaman? That's actually a tough question, because I think Deathrite Shaman did a lot to keep Maverick from being as good as it could be during that meta, so it's a case of, would Deathrite give other decks more power against Maverick than it would give Maverick power itself? It would be pretty nice, but I do think that the deck, if only it was in Maverick, yes, that'd be pretty good. There's Wasteland. Yep, I believe it was Miranda Keith who top 8'd GP Seattle in 2018 with Abzan Maverick playing for Deathrite Shaman, which is pretty sweet. I'm going to quickly get that up, because that was a sweet list. Using the history page, we can come down to 2018, there it is, GP Seattle. Which, yeah, for Deathrite, for Knight, for Mum, one Noble, interesting, just the one Noble, of course, Deathrite, the better creature there. Stoneforge Mystic package, Thalia, Tireless Tracker. Just good quality, a good type of magic. Oh, Gilded Lotus, cool. Okay. Prismatic. They didn't use the Wasteland. Interesting. They gained a life? They have one card left. What is it? Caracas. It has to be Caracas. So they're just getting the life here. Interesting. Wasteland? That's why we went for this. Wasteland off the top would be pretty sweet. Whoever activated first loses. There was a green sun Zenith. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I guess Script Ranger's free here because you get to go Script Ranger, untap this, return this, play this, and now we can green suns for oof. And now we also have protection on the Savannah with Script Ranger, which is really nice. Yeah, I assume it's just going to be F6 value. Yeah, they're also down a lot on the clock, so I feel like this might be a newer player, just because they are taking their time with a lot of their turns, which, you know, I think with Cloud Post decks, sequencing is pretty big, so yeah, kudos to them if they are enjoying getting into the format with this deck. Or they could just be having, as I said before, connectivity issues. Connection issues. Connectivity. Yeah. Which is cool to see. So they have access to 5 mana here. Another talisman, okay. And just Karakas in hand. So Karakas does deal with Questing Beast to some extent, but they're not going to play it. Interesting. I think we're going to get some pretty big turns here, because we get to go Knight this turn, and the next turn we get to Green Suns for Ramanap and double Wasteland them. Oh, Cradle. Does that change things? Yes. Yes, it does. Because now we get to go Knight and then a free Questing Beast. Just to pile on some pressure. It also means we can most likely win next turn by Wastelanding Karakas, Questing Beast returns to our hand, and then just recasting it with haste and getting in. Yeah, not playing the Karakas definitely hurt. Especially because of the Thoughtseize, we know about it as well. So I'm not too sure why they're holding it. Unless they're keeping Karakas for an actual legendary creature to hit the bin, because they don't want us to Wasteland it and then not have an answer to something like Gaddock Teeg or Questing Beast. That's my only thought, that they're protecting it in hand. But with Cloud Posts in play as well, I think even if they had the Karakas, I'd probably start going after their Cloud Posts. Because right now I'm really just trying to hit their mana with Collector Oof. They go for Glimmer. Okay, so they're going to go to 17. Is there a way to kill them next turn? I don't think I can kill them this turn. Everyone forgets let's... Yeah, I think if they don't Wasteland here, like, what are they Wastelanding? Like, why are they playing the Wasteland? It was a really good game. I think it was an SCG event where Jacob Wilson was playing Rug Delver against a player on Miracles. And it got to the point where a few Nibble Mongoose were being played as 3/3s, and the Miracles player was on pretty low life and wasn't force willing them. And Cedric was just like, if you're not forcing these, what are you forcing? Haha. Yeah, being able to get a Yavimaya now is pretty sweet. You can save things like Guy's Cradle and Karakas from Script Ranger, which is pretty cool. Yavimaya is definitely interesting. One of the big upsides that I actually found with it was that you can tap Horizon Canopy without losing your life, which is pretty big against Delver, because all the points definitely add up. We drew a Swords. Okay. Alright, let's start off with Green Suns for Ramanap. Actually... No, we know they have Caracas, so we don't have to play around anything, which is nice. We don't have to worry about sequencing. Let's go and get Ramanap. I'm going to sack the Scrubland because at least the Savannah can be used with the Script Ranger. I guess this play does die to Tabernacle. If they have Tabernacle, then we can save one creature. Yeah, it was just because of Cradle. We didn't need to look for another 4, but just saved a little bit of time, I guess. Hey Ricard, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. Could even just do another stream after this. Always tempting. Pretty happy to keep this. Prismatic Ending just so nice here. Can really answer anything turn 1 from Aether Vial to Retrofitter Foundry. From Chile? Very cool. Chile has some really good hikes, really good mountains and yeah, natural terrain. I watch a mountain. Mountain's interesting. It kind of makes me not want to play the Knight here. I kind of want to play the Knight as a 4/4 to play around Bolt. But maybe there's a world where I just don't care. The other line is play Noble, play Hex, tick up. You half expect Painter? Alright, I'm gonna go with Hex. This also plays around Blood Moon, if it is like a mono red deck. But double spell... What's this? Bone Crusher. Okay. Swords. I think I still just like... Double red Bone Crusher. There's a world where like Scavenging Ooze is okay. I still just want to keep this Knight at bay for a little bit. So I don't mind Scavenging Ooze hold up green and hold up swords. Double mountain start. Okay. Oh, that is casting the Bone Crusher. Chalice for 1. That is fine, because Prismatic Ending plays around it, which is really nice. Just gonna eat Hex now. Gotta be Dragon Stompy? Yeah, I'm thinking Dragon Stompy as well. Okay, so let's go Prismatic Ending for 2 to hit the Chalice. That works, right? Nice. Play Mum. And then attack with Ooze for 5. Holding up swords. But I think next turn, even if we don't draw a fetch land or a wasteland, we still just deploy the Knight, because getting the wasteland for the Shadow Skull would be huge. And also if the Mum's online, then the wasteland's going to be really solid. But yeah, a really slow Moon hand. Usually, I think with the Moon deck, you can usually mulligan pretty aggressively just towards like a turn 1 Trinisphere or Chalice or Blood Moon. They cast the Bone Crusher, that's okay. Yeah, no turn 1 or turn 2 play is pretty rough. The question is, do I want to use the swords here? I kind of don't really care about the Bone Crusher. I'd rather keep the swords for a creature that really gets out of hand. Windsweep's perfect, because there's our, not just our planes, but also the extra land for Knight. So pretty happy with that. Yeah, it could be a new player to the deck, or maybe they had a hand that was good against like combo that just didn't line up against Maverick. Can you explain to me when Grist is good? Styfro? Yeah, Grist is an interesting one. I think Grist is pretty good against decks like Bant Control, where Knight of the Reliquary isn't as great of a threat, and you can start just really pressuring them. It also seems pretty nice against some of the standstill decks, that if you can get it out early, then it is an ability to go wide, where otherwise you don't really have that luxury. Usually with Maverick, it's a case of playing around Terminus or Engineered Explosives a bit, so you can get to a position where... Can I get lethal here? This is fine. I do think Grist is a lot better in the Stoneforge Mystic builds, like Achilles. He plays a list with equipment, so you can make your 1/1s a bit better. Chandra. This is fine. But yeah, it definitely hasn't thrilled me as much as it did before. Oh no. Oh, no opponent. We get to fetch, which makes this a 4/4. And then we can also save the Ooze and then swing back for lethal next turn. We don't have to show black yet either, which is really nice. I think my opponent made a misplay there. Yeah, tough. That's a really tough one, because even if you neg 4, I get to keep the Ooze, and then just make it a lethal threat the following turn anyway. So maybe the... Yeah, it's just a tough one. Maybe you have to keep the Bone Crusher back, but then you can't... Yeah, then you have to deal anyway. Tough one. Okay, I do like the Teeg, I do like the Forces. Plague's also interesting, but I am pretty unfamiliar with the new creature base of Stompy. So what do I like doing here? Probably don't mind dropping down on the Thalias. Endurance is still pretty cool. I don't mind one Thalia. I think this might be it. Just a subtle change of just the 3 Thalias for the Teeg and the Forces. Engineer does seem good if they do have the Forces. There's a world where I could change around some of the lands. Like Endurance still seems pretty strong here. Like, is it a case of endurance being better than the creatures? I actually don't mind dropping down on, like, some number of swords to plowshares. Hex Drink is still fine. No, no Cataclysms. Yeah, I haven't tried Cataclysm in Maverick yet. Styfro, thanks for letting me know. I should actually build towards Cataclysm. Nice. I'm going to drop a Sylvan Library, and I'm going to bring in two Plagues and see how this goes. Library can be pretty tough if they do have a explosive start with creatures. And I think this hand is fine, but it does rely on them not having Blood Moon. But having access to a basic and noble straight away is pretty nice. But this hand kind of folds to Chalice for one. This hand would be a lot better with Force of Vigor, of course, but that's just not a luxury that I can always have. Opponent went down to 5 cards. Chalice. Okay. That's fine. Your Cataclysm twice in one game today? Yikes. This is actually interesting, because now I get access to both basics, but I'd probably rather the green first. So play Verdant and then play Windswept Heath next turn for the Plains. Or if they don't play Blood Moon, I don't want to 6 here, of course, because I want to fetch. I might go for Plague Engineer. I actually think I just Wasteland here. The question is, does Wasteland put me back more? But I think taking them off 3 mana is pretty huge. So they can't play like Trinisphere or Blood Moon. I'd love to see them pass. So they're going to cast the Chrome Mox. Okay. Imprinting. Blood Moon. Nice. Okay. To me, that feels like they have a second Blood Moon effect in hand. Which is pretty nice, because now we get to play around Chalice and go and get Birds of Paradise. Which also gives us access to black, even though we get to play around with our basics here. So it worked out pretty well. Green Suns for 2. Plays around the Chalice, which is nice. Get the bird. Bob's your uncle. Ooh, is this a stomp? Okay, nice. I haven't played around with Master of the Wild Hunt, Styfro, but that card is a 4-drop that does make me think about it. Master of the Wild. That is Wilf. I did not spell wild that correctly. I believe it gives you 2/2s. There we go. 2 and 2 green. Human Shaman 3/3. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a 2/2 wolf creature token. Tap all untapped wolves you control. Each wolf tapped this way deals damage equal to its power to target creature. That creature deals damage equal to power divided by back to number of wolves. Interesting card, for sure. A land there is perfect. I probably don't mind Bayou into Ramanat. Could also just play out a Plague as well. Maybe that's better, because it actually gets the black source going. I'll same Goblin preemptively. I would like to see it in maybe like a Sylvan Plug deck that's mono green. Because then if you're playing Chalices, which isn't the greatest right now, you obviously don't have access to... And mono green doesn't have access to a lot of removal, so at least that is something to be considered about. But that is pretty interesting. 3/2. Some rough losses there. I mean, the double game of turn 1 Tabernacle, keeping the 1-lander is tough, but 3/2 coming out isn't too bad. I think I'm going to run this back. I think we're going to do a double league. We got some good viewership here, so I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick, and then I'll come back, maybe make some changes. But yeah, I'll see you soon.